Well, today's video, I'm going to process with you a little bit because our family just went across a pretty good milestone where our oldest, Caroline, entered sixth grade middle school. But what makes it even a little bit more interesting is that she was making a transition school-wise where all of her elementary school friends were moving up to a different middle school, and she's now attending a middle school closer to our home. Meaning she's got to kind of start over or start fresh with friendships, which is not the easiest thing to do in sixth grade, entering middle school for a girl. We know that. And so a lot of our summer for Brooke and I was spent praying for and trying to be intentional with linking her up with these friendships and these other girls that will be heading to sixth grade at Southwest, and just finding other families that are like-minded and setting her up for good friendships. And one of the families, their little daughter Brielle, happens to be one of those girls where we were just aiming or pointing Caroline towards, so that when she went to that first day, she would not be without friendly faces. And so I'll tell you this story. This happened a week ago when we were dropping Caroline off for sixth grade. And I give you that background story because we had this plan for drop-off. And most cars just keep moving and stop and open up the door, and your sixth grader just kind of spits out and heads down to the mass of sixth graders waiting to go in through the door. But I just felt like we needed a bit more time just to give her a hug. The rest of the kids were with us too, to be able to sort of send Caroline off. And so I veered into this parking lot that's a little further away from the entrance so that we could hop out, give her our hugs. And then I was directing her, now you go towards that crosswalk and that person with the stop sign will help you across. And then you got to walk by the eighth graders and walk by the seventh graders to get down to the sixth graders and wait until it's time to go in. And that just seemed a bit intimidating for Caroline. She got a little nervous and was asking for us to know, can we go back in line to get closer to the sixth grade door and drop me off that way? And to me, that sounded like an inconvenience, and I wanted to kind of push her towards this uncomfortable route. Not that big of a deal. But Brooke, in her wisdom, made me pause and just gave me the eyes and said, okay, Caroline, yep, we'll get back in the van and we can drop you off over there. And so I bit my tongue and got back in the van. All the kids got back in the van, back buckled, just to re-enter the line to exit Southwest, to re-enter the line to turn left back into Southwest, and we just wasted a lot of time. But it's okay, because we're there within however many minutes. We open the sliding glass door. Everybody gives their hugs and kisses to Caroline. She hops out the side door, and as soon as she clears the front of our van, we see another girl pop in front of our van and just link up with Caroline so they could head down the hill and into the mass of sixth graders together. And it was Brielle. And it just felt very much like God timed that out for Caroline so that she didn't have to enter the big group by herself, and she could just see a friendly face right away and enter with comfort. And she has since had an awesome first week of sixth grade. But as now I reflect on it, it feels very much like the proverb that a man can make his plans, but the Lord directs his steps. And when we notice what God is doing, he was very much delaying our drop-off to allow Caroline to have the friendship of Brielle to enter that first day. A lot of our walk with God and our strengthening our trust in him is just giving opportunity to notice God and to observe him. A lot of what we do in this counseling office when we're trying to send out our roots by the stream, like it says in Jeremiah 17, that we are like trees planted by the water when we place our trust in the Lord. When we send out our roots by the stream is like when we're putting ourselves in proximity to God and getting life from him other than the things of this world. And one of the ways of doing that is just giving God our full attention and noticing him. One of the best ways of doing that is just getting outside. And there's a slew of ways of getting in the Word and having solitude and having good prayer times and different types of prayer times and getting into good community where iron is sharpening iron, and we're sending our roots out into the stream and having God be our water source. But the one that I wanted to key in on is just noticing God and observing God. And since we're now entering one of the best times of the year, coming off of summer, not winter yet, and beautiful fall for a lot of us across the United States, is to just make rhythms and routines to get outside and see the sky and see creation and give God the credit and just notice him. And so whether that's a right after dinner walk or whether that's a first thing in the morning walk, to see the trees and see animals and see the sky is a really fundamental way to notice God and build that spiritual discipline, that routine into our lives. Romans 1:20, the NLT version says, "For ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and the sky. Through everything God made, they can clearly see the invisible qualities, his eternal power and his divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing God." That just by observing the earth and the sky, we have this chance to be ever more connected and to see God in new ways and to give him credit for what we see. Psalm 19:1, the NIV says, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." And I like the NLT version that the skies display his craftsmanship. That just noticing the blue of the sky or the color of the clouds or the sunset, we have this chance to give God full credit and to experience him and feel connected to him simply by noticing and giving him our full attention. And so I put forth the challenge of building ever more into these spiritual disciplines of just getting into God's presence. The challenge to work a walk into your life routinely. We've tried to have one-on-one walks with our kids after supper, or whether you can go with a spouse or a friend or a full family, to get out, to see beauty, and to verbally give God credit for that is just such a way to notice him and to be watchful for just his presence, to give him your full attention. So I hope that that's something that you can work into the fall as we enter just the beauty of leaves changing and seeing his handiwork, his display, his craftsmanship. And just by making this video, I think it charges me up to do it all the more and enjoy him as you just see beauty and turn your attention towards him.